أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. Illuminate your gatherings with the love of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It is no secret to anyone that we are living in the age of technology. Just in the last 150 years, the leap in technology, the leap in advancements that we have seen have been greater than the last 1,000 years. About 150 years ago, Thomas Edison invented the first light bulb. And after that, the automobiles were invented and the airplanes. And then rockets were launched to space. And then came the big one, something that none of us could live without, the internet, which we all thought that this was the end of sophistication. That's it, we've reached it. And just a couple of years ago, we see another leap, a major leap, and that is the leap of AI, artificial intelligence, where now, instead of you driving the car can drive itself. The computer with ChatGPT could come and formulate and write a full essay for you, make a full argument for you, gather all the information for you. And we see that this advancement in technology, it's made many people think where right now the human being, the role of the human being is obsolete. And it is true in a sense. According to the World Economic Forum, 85 million jobs are going to be wiped out by 2025, just in 2 years, as a result of AI, as a result of artificial intelligence. So some people are thinking, this computer, this software, which is a creation of man, has it made man a creator as well? We know that God is the creator. But now that the human mind, now that the brain has made something that is so sophisticated, that can make a calculation that would take an average mind, an average brain, days or months to formulate, this could do it in a matter of seconds. It could write for you an essay. It could write for you an argument. It could write for you poetry in a matter of seconds. Something that the greatest creative minds took many years to develop. So this makes people think, One is the role of the human being obsolete? Have computers overtaken man? And second, others, they come and they say, that means we are the creators too. What's the difference between me and God? This is what some people say. Where if God is able to create, then right now the human mind is also able to create as well. Well, this is an argument that some may have. However, it is far from the truth. Because the human being is much greater than anything that is created by man. First of all, whatever humans create, any technology, this is putting together components that were brought down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that were brought down by God. We're just putting things together. We're not creating from nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ahsanul khaliqeen. Allah is the musawwir. One of the names of Allah is al-musawwir. What is musawwir? Musawwir means the one who draws you, the one who engineers you out of nothing. Right now, a photographer, they also call a photographer musawwir. But the photographer is taking a picture that already exists. Or an engineer is making an airplane out of an idea that they already have seen, a bird flying in the air. They see it flying and then they come and they say, okay, let's make an airplane. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you out of nothing. So nothing can take your place and nothing can take the role of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Religion is always relevant. And the role of the human being is always relevant and important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being and equipped the human being with certain qualifications that make the human being surpass all other creation. Because the human being has been created here for a purpose. Allah says in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ Khalifa. The role of the human being is to be the Khalifa of God. The role of the human being is to be the vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah has placed certain qualifications, certain features in the human being that no AI, no chat GPT, no computer can have. Perhaps it's not intelligence, or it is intelligence in a way, even though the computer could formulate an argument much faster than the human mind, but there's something that the computers don't have that the human has. And that is the power of emotions. Emotional intelligence. The ability to have your own emotions, to read your own emotions, and to be sympathetic and have empathy to other people. This is something that no computer, no software can have. Yes, maybe it could be taught to have some sort of emotions, but it does not have the raw emotions that the human being has. You see a baby, as soon as a baby is born, the baby is crying, the baby is protesting, the baby is in need, the baby is displaying their emotions. And this is one of the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us, the gift of emotions. Why are we all gathered here today to commemorate Imam al-Hussain? It's because of an emotional thing. We're gathered here to cry. We're gathered here to shed tears. Our sadness, the story of Imam al-Hussain, our emotions brought us here over 1,300 years after the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussain. Emotions are very important for the human being. Yes, some people have too much emotions. They become a basket case. And others, there's no emotions whatsoever. Some people have no emotions. Can you live with someone who doesn't have emotions? They say this person's a robot. You can't live with this person. You can't interact with this person. And this is why we see that having emotional intelligence, where you are able to control your own emotions, where you're able to say the right thing at the right time, where you're able to read the emotions of individuals in the room, individuals around you, and you carry out your duties and your actions based on emotional intelligence, this will make you a very successful person. Whether it's in the family, whether it's at work. Right now, your boss, if a boss, an employer has two individuals that they want to hire, two individuals that they want to put as a project manager. One person has high IQ and another person has high EQ, emotional intelligence. Which one are they going to make the team leader? Which one are they going to make the one who leads the project? They're going to choose the one who has the strongest emotional intelligence, because that is the uniter. That is the person that is going to be able to unite everyone in the room. That is going to be the one who's going to be able to bring peace and bring people together to a common ground. And we see that these are the features of a leader, of a real leader. This is how Rasulullah was. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, one of the main reasons that made him successful, other than the fact that he is the most knowledgeable person, وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمْ, he's a prophet of Allah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was an empathetic person. He had empathy with others. He cared for others. He showed compassion and love towards others. And that's what gravitated all of the hearts to him. And this feature of having that emotional intelligence, this is something that is given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says in the Quran, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan. Ar-Rahman, He is the most compassionate, the most merciful. Allama al-Quran, He gave us the blueprint to live our lives. The Quran was created. And then Khalaqa al-Insan, and then He created us. And then what? What was the first gift Allah gave the human being? The gift of bayan, the gift of expression, where you're able to express yourself. When you're happy, you're angry, you're stressed, you have anxiety, whatever it is. And a successful person is the one who's able to express themselves in the correct way. This is how Rasulullah was. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, what made him? وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. What made him have the greatest of akhlaq, of manners, of virtues? Because Rasulullah was a people person. You want to be successful? And especially if you want to guide people to religion, you want to guide people to the truth, you have a heavy task to accomplish, you have to be a people person. You have to have that emotional intelligence. And this is what Rasulullah had. This is what the prophets had. This is what the imams of the Ahlul Bayt had. They guided people through emotions, through love. Now someone might come and ask, what's the role of love and hate and emotions in religion? Religion, there should be no emotions in religion. And there are some Muslims like that. Right now, if any of you have gone to Medina and you face the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, you're going to get smacked. You're going to get yelled at. No, face the Qibla. This is shirk. You have to face the Qibla. They want religion to be dry of any emotions. But if you remove emotions, if you remove love and compassion from religion, that is like removing the soul from the body. Right now, what gathers us here? The memory of Imam al-Hussain. It is our love for Imam al-Hussain which has given life to the religion of Islam, and it is all based on emotions. It's based on emotions. Yes, of course, our religion, we have to believe in God based on conviction. You have to have ma'rifah, you have to have conviction. But what carries the iman, what gives you the strength to carry on, what gives you the courage to do things that no one would do, that is your love and your passion for your religion. That is what drove Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam to make the ultimate sacrifice. That is what drove the companions of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, like Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and Muslim ibn Awsaja and Habib ibn Mudahir, and these men and women that gave everything they had for the sake of Imam al-Hussain. What was it? They fell in love with Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. They saw that Imam al-Hussain was a man that is worthy of being loved. And they fell in love with this man, Imam al-Hussain. And this is what religion is all about. A man asks Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he tells him, is there a role for love in religion? in religion? Is there a role for love and hate? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he tells him, وَهَلِ الدِّينِ إِلَّا الْحُبُّ وَالْبُغْضِ. Religion is all about loving and hating. You love Rasulullah, you love the Ahlul Bayt, you love God, you love the Salah, you love to have a relationship with God that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then there's also hate. Today some people, they come and they say, no, religion's all about love. It's nice to have that idea, but you have to have disassociation from certain individuals, from certain actions. Why do we say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan al-rajim every day? Why do we disassociate ourselves from shaitan? Because I have to despise and I have to disassociate from certain individuals, from certain people. Today, one objection we have when it comes to Muharram is the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Some people, they come and they say, I love the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussain. It's very beautiful. As-salamu ala al-Hussain, wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain, wa ala awlad al-Hussain. But please, remove the la'an. I don't want to say, I curse this person and that person. Well, first of all, this comes from a form of misunderstanding of what la'an is. La'an is not a curse. La'an is not a bad word. La'an, what it is I want to disassociate myself from the enemies of Imam al-Hussain. And this is what religion is all about. Religion is all about loving God and loving the Prophet and loving the Ahlul Bayt and that which brings you closer to God. And second, disassociating ourselves from anything that brings us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what religion is. And you find that the strongest form of iman that a person could have is an iman that is driven by love. Today you ask some people, why do you pray? They say, because I don't want to go to hell. Another person might reply, because I want to go to heaven. But there's a drive that is even more powerful than heaven and hell. And that is love. And this is what we see Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib says in his munajat. He says, Ilahi ma abadtuka khawfan min narik, wala tama'an fi jannatik, walakin wajadtuka ahlan lil ibadati fa'abadtuk. He says, oh Allah, I do not worship you because I'm afraid of the hellfire, even though I am supposed to be afraid of the hellfire. And I don't worship you because I want heaven, even though heaven is a worthy cause. But I worship you because I see that you're worthy of being worshipped. I worship you because you are my Lord. I worship you because you are my caretaker, because you're the one who has given me everything that I have. And that is the strongest drive that will make you do things that fear and attachment to heaven will not be able to make you do. That is the love that led Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam to make the ultimate sacrifice. That was the love that led Abu Abdullah al-Hussain to see his children one after the other go and be killed and not come back. That was the love that drove Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. And yes, today in a time where many people, they're losing their faith, we need to attract people. We need to gravitate people to religion, to Islam, to Rasulullah, also using emotions. Yes, conviction is important. We need to build our faith on ma'rifah, but emotions are what will draw you in and bring you closer. This is why the Imams, when they speak about Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, Imam al-Sadiq, he says, نَحْنُ كُلُّنَا سُفُنُ النَّجَاةِ. We are all the ark of salvation. However, Hussein, his ark is much greater. إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنِ مِصْبَاحُ الْهُدَى وَسَفِينَةُ النَّجَاةِ. Hussein is the beacon of light and the ark of salvation that will guide people who are lost in the sea. In the darkness of the ocean. Imagine yourself in the darkness of the ocean and you're lost in the middle of nowhere. And suddenly you see a light that is showing you the way. Suddenly you see a lifeboat that is coming to save you. A few weeks ago, over 700 people drowned in the middle of the ocean and no one cared. No one said anything. But when 4 or 5 millionaires, they died, We were hearing about it. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, the hadith says he is Safinatun Najat. He is the boat of salvation, that rescue boat that will come and save you when you're in need of being saved. My dear brothers and sisters, attract people to Islam through love. And this is what is bringing us gathering to remember Imam al-Hussain. It is the love and the passion and the emotions that we have for Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Bring people to God. And Allah says in the Quran, "In kuntum tuhibbun Allah, fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah." If you truly love God, then you translate that love into obedience to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And if you truly love Rasulullah, this is where the Muslims miss the plot. This is where the Muslims were derailed. They say we love Rasulullah, but if you really love Rasulullah, what do you have to do? Rasulullah kept telling people day after day after day. And the Quran tells Rasulullah to tell people, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I don't ask for any ajr. I don't ask for anything for guiding you, for bringing you this Islam, for bringing you salah, for bringing you away from idol worship. I don't want anything from you. The only thing I want, and Allah is telling Rasulullah, Allah is saying this in the Quran, the only thing I expect is mawaddah, love for my family. This is a transaction. This is a transaction. Imagine you want to make a deal with Rasulullah. He gives you Islam. What do you have to give him in return? You have to give him the love for the Ahlul Bayt. What does this mean? This means that the mawaddah, if you put them on a scale, the mawaddah for the Ahlul Bayt is equivalent to the whole Islam, equivalent to the whole religion of Islam. This is why we love Imam al-Hussain. This is why we gather and we cry for Imam al-Hussain, because this is a reflection of our faith. This is a reflection of our love to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. This is a reflection of our belief in the Quran. Today, the eve of the first of Muharram, you see the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they have all come out wearing the black, ready to commemorate the greatest tragedy that has ever occurred, the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. And you see others, they are living a life not aware, not recognizing the calamity that fell upon Rasulullah and the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And some people are shocked. Some people are surprised. Why? Why do you remember someone who was killed 1,384 years ago? Some people, they say, we have relatives that died a few months ago, and we don't cry for them as much. We don't remember them as much. Why do we gather year after year after year to remember Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, to cry for Imam al-Hussain, to shed tears for Imam al-Hussain? Isn't this a little bit too much? Isn't this an exaggeration of emotions? Well, we mentioned earlier, emotions are what make us human. Right now, artificial intelligence, AI, could probably make an argument which works much faster than the human brain. But what is it that makes us human? What is it that keeps us grounded and makes us human? It's our emotions. So emotions are important. And we have to display emotions, my dear brothers and sisters. Islam cannot be without emotions. You have to have love. You have to show that emotions in the religion of Islam. And these days and these nights, we gather to show our emotions for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. We show our sadness and our mourning for the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Someone might ask, why do you cry for Imam al-Hussain? Several reasons, my dear brothers and sisters. The first is that it is Sunnah to cry for Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. What is Sunnah? Sunnah is any action of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Whatever the Prophet does or says or he sees happening and he accepts it, this becomes Sunnah. This means that he saw it and he did not say this is wrong. And if he did it, it becomes Sunnah. It becomes something that is practiced by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So now, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, did he cry for Imam al-Hussein or did he not cry for Imam al-Hussein? You go and you look at the books of the Muslims, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Ibn Hajar, many of the Muslim scholars, they mention the narrations that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, indeed did cry for Imam al-Hussein. On the day he was born, he cries for Imam al-Hussein. al-Fadl, she comes and she carries Imam al-Hussein. She comes and she brings this baby to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He sees him and he begins to shed tears and he begins to cry. And then he tells her, this is my son. He's going to be killed in the land of Karbala by a group of people that will expect my shafa'ah, my intercession. La analahum Allah shafa'ati. May Allah not give them my intercession. Salama, in another story, Salama, she mentions as well. She says one day, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi tells me, oh Salama, I'm tired today. So don't allow anyone to enter on me. So she says Rasulullah went in the room and he was laying down. And suddenly this toddler, a young child, Imam al-Hussein, who has just learned how to run, he's just started running, he walks past the door and he throws himself on the chest of his grandfather, Rasulullah. She says, I ran in the room and I tried to lift him. I tried to take him away. And Rasulullah tells her, oh Salama, no, leave him. I was not talking about Hussein when I said don't allow anyone to enter. Husaynun minni wa ana min Hussein. Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein. So she says, I left him and Imam al-Hussein, the grandson, he's sitting on the chest of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi while the Prophet is laying down. She says, a while later, I hear the Prophet crying. I come and I see Rasulullah, his beard is drenched with his tears. I come and I tell him, Ya Rasulullah, why are you crying? He tells me, Jibreel just came to me and he informed me that this son of mine will be killed in a land by the name of Karbala. And Rasulullah, subhanallah, he transcends time and place and he gives her from the soil of Karbala. He gives her from the soil of Karbala and he tells her, oh Salama, when you see that the soil has turned into blood, then know that my son Hussein has been killed. And this was the measure. This was how Salama found out that Imam al-Hussein was killed 60 some years later. Rasulullah cried for Imam al-Hussein. Isn't that sunnah? Today some people ask me, why am I crying for Imam al-Hussein? I ask you, why are you not crying for Imam al-Hussein? Isn't it the sunnah of the Prophet? Didn't the Prophet cry for Imam al-Hussein? And not only the Prophet, the Sahaba, they cried for Imam al-Hussein. When they saw Rasulullah crying, they also started crying. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, also Ibn Hanbal mentions. He says Amir al-Mu'mineen passed by the land of Karbala on his way to Siffin. And there he stood and he began to cry. And he begins to say, Sabran ya Aba Abdullah, Sabran ya Aba Abdullah. Oh my son Hussein, be patient. And they ask him, what's going on? And he tells them, this is where my son Hussein is going to be killed. This is where my son Hussein is going to be killed and the skies are going to be crying for my son Hussein. And then he recited this verse, فَمَا بَكَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّمَاءُ وَالْأَرْضُ وَمَا كَانُوا مُنظَرِينَ. And then he says, وَلَكِنَّهَا تَبْكِي عَلَى أَبُو عَبْدِ اللَّهِ الْحُسَيْنِ. So this is why we cry for Imam Hussein. Because Rasulullah cried. Because the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt, they all cried for Imam Hussein. This is one. Second, my dear brothers and sisters, we cry for Imam al-Hussein and we show these emotions because these are emotions that drive change in our lives. We need to change. We need to have reform. We need to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is these nights And it is Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam that will take us by the hand and bring us to paradise and guide us and show us the way. When you show emotions with anything, if you're laughing with anyone, you're crying with anyone, you're angry at someone, this shows that you have an association with whatever that is. If you're angry at your son, angry at your daughter because they did something, this shows that you care. Because you're not going to be angry with someone in the street. You're going to show love. You love. When you show love to someone, you show emotions with that individual. When we cry for Imam al-Hussain, we are showing an association, an attachment with the highest of principles and values. The principles of Aba Abdullah. What did Imam al-Hussain stand for on the day of Judgment, on the day of Qiyamah, on the day of Karbala? Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, he stood for reform. He stood for change. Today, some people, they come and they change around the narrative and the story of Imam al-Hussain. And they come and they say Imam al-Hussain was going after power and he was killed in the way. No. Imam al-Hussain was not going after power. Imam al-Hussain, he makes his purpose very clear before reaching Karbala. In Mecca, he makes his purpose clear. He says, إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا مفسدا ولا ظالما وإنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي وأسير على سيرة جدي وأبي أمير المؤمنين. He says, I'm not revolting to cause mischief and fighting. I want to bring back reform to the ummah after what Bani Umayyah had done to the religion of Islam. And I want to bring back the sunnah of my grandfather and my father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because Imam al-Hussain acknowledges that there was a attempt to remove the sunnah of Rasulullah is at noon. And he tells Aba Abdullah, he tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I know this is not the appropriate time to tell you, but it's salah time. What does Imam al-Hussain say? He tells him, ذَكَرْتَ الصَّلَاةَ جَعَلَكَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. You remembered prayer, Allah will write you down from those who prayed. We are inspired from the stories of Karbala. We cry when we remember that Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam accepted Hurr bin Yazid al-Riyahi back. After the crime that Hurr committed against Imam al-Hussain. It was Hurr who stopped Imam al-Hussain from camping near the water. It was Hurr who forced Imam al-Hussain to come to Karbala. However, Hurr repented. And Imam al-Hussain, without any grudges, without holding back, right away he accepted him. I cry when I remember that. I cry when I remember that the women and the daughters of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, after the day of Ashura, when they were thirsty, they were hungry, and they were exhausted, the first thing that they asked for was hijab to protect their modesty and chastity before asking for water. I cry when I remember that the people of Kufa invited Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. They told him, come. They wrote letters inviting him. And then they betrayed the Imam. What if I am betraying the Imam of my time? What if I make false promises with the Imam of my time? We keep praying for the Imam of our time, but are we really serious? Or are we going to be like the people of Kufa? This is why we cry, my dear brothers and sisters. Crying is not just emotions. These emotions can drive change in our lives, change in our communities, change in the way that we live our lives, and this is much needed change that we need. This is why we have to remember Imam al-Hussain every day, not just every year. This is the second reason. And the third reason, my dear brothers and sisters, we cry for Imam al-Hussain because of the severity of the calamity. Have you seen a calamity greater than that of Aba Abdullah? Have you heard of a musibah, a calamity greater than the calamity of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam? Where he was betrayed, where he was killed hungry and thirsty, where his children, he sees them one after the other being killed in front of him. And then he is killed and his body is trampled. Where do you see a musibah, a calamity like that? This is why the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, they had a special attachment with the remembrance of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. One of the companions of Imam al-Sadiq, he asks the Imam, he tells him, isn't the musibah of Rasulullah, the loss of Rasulullah, greater than the musibah of Imam al-Hussain? Then why is it that we give so much attention to Imam al-Hussain and not Rasulullah? Of course, the Imam replied that when we remember Imam al-Hussain, we are in fact remembering Rasulullah. We are remembering the Prophet. The calamity of Imam al-Hussain is the calamity of Rasulullah. Husaynun minni wa ana min Hussain. Hussain is from me and I am from Hussain. And then the Imam alayhi salam, he goes on to explain that Imam al-Hussain was the fifth of the Ahlul Kisa, the fifth of Ashabul Kisa. He says when Rasulullah died, there were Fatima al-Zahra and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussain. And then Fatima al-Zahra died. There were others. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen died. Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussain were still around. And then Imam Hassan died. And then when Imam al-Hussain was killed, that was the connection with Rasulullah was gone. Because Imam al-Hussain lived and saw the Prophet. This is what Imam al-Sadiq says. He says, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, yes, he is an Imam. But Imam al-Hussain is at a different level because he is from the original Ahlul Bayt. He is from the Ahlul Kisa, from the Ashabul Kisa. This is why the calamity of Imam al-Hussain on the day of Ashura, when they killed Imam al-Hussain, it was as if they were killing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. This is why Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, when his brother Imam al-Hassan was dying, Imam al-Hussain, he sits next to Imam al-Hassan and he begins to cry. And then Imam al-Hassan tells him, oh my dear brother, don't cry. La yawmaka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There is no calamity and tragedy as great as yours, oh Aba Abdullah. And all of the Imams, they would cry when they remember Imam al-Hussain. When they remember what happened to Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Today, my dear brothers and sisters, we hear of what happened to Imam al-Hussain and we cannot control ourselves. Imagine what Imam Zayn al-Abidin saw on the day of Ashura and the days following Ashura. This is why for 30 years later, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, every time they bring him water or they bring him food, that food would be mixed with the tears of Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. He would begin to cry. Imam Zayn al-Abidin would purposely make a scene, making everyone cry for his father, Imam al-Hussain. He would go to the butcher market, and he sees them that they're about to slaughter the sheep. And he would stand at the door and he would tell them, oh butchers, I have a question to ask you. Have you given water to this sheep before slaughtering it? They tell him, yes, this is what Islam teaches us, to show mercy even with the animal. And then he would face Karbala and say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Oh my dear father, they killed you thirsty without giving you a drop of water on the day of Ashura. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, they would ask him, Abu Hamza al-Thamali, he would ask him, why do you keep crying? Isn't shahada, isn't martyrdom very normal for your family? Ja'far was killed, Hamza was killed, Ali ibn Abi Talib was killed. Why do you keep crying when you remember Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam? Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he tells him, Ya Aba Hamza, yes, martyrdom is usual for us. We are known. This is something that we have accepted. However, our women taken as captives from city to city, this is not normal for us. Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, he sees his companion Ar-Rayyan ibn Shabib. He tells him, "O Rayyan, إن يوم الحسين أقرح جفوننا وأسبل دموعنا وأذل عزيزنا بأرض كرب وبلاء وأورثنا الكرب والبلاء فعلى مثل الحسين فليبكي الباكون." O Rayyan, the day of Hussein has made us cry so much so that we have injured our eyes from crying. They humiliated us on the day of Ashura. They did not respect the sanctity of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. This is why all of the Imams, they would hold majalis for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Rida, he invites Da'bil al-Khuza'i. He tells him, "Oh Da'bil, I want you to sit and I want you to recite a majlis for my grandfather Hussein." Da'bil begins to recite. He tells him, "I want you to recite like the way you recite in Karbala over the grave of Aba Abdullah." Da'bil begins, "أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فراتي." Giving condolences to the mother, giving condolences to Fatima al-Zahra. "أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فراتي إذا للطمت الخد فاطم عنده وأجريت دمع العين في الوجنات. أفاطم قومي يا ابنة الخير واندبي نجوم سماوات بأرض فلاتي." لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. 10 times with your loudest voices. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك غافر الخطيئات إنك على كل شيء قدير. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلوات. We have some Latmiya by Hajj Haidar in Arabic, and we encourage anyone who would like to recite in any languages in the following days, please come and sign up to recite as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
For the love of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, I would like everyone to participate in these 2 short latmiyas from your hearts. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. بايعناك يا إمامي أنت والينا في كربلاء يا حسين أنت هادينا بايعناك يا إمامي أنت ولينا في كربلاء يا حسين أنت هادينا بايعناك في كربلاء يا حسين أنت هادينا بايعناك يا إمامي في كربلاء يا حسين ضاق الهدى للقياك نارا تكويني ضاق الهدى للقياك نارا تكويني وبالعيون ذكراك يا نور عيني وبالعيون ذكراك يا نور عيني كل يوم جرحك بات يدميني كل يوم جرحك بات يدميني فيه قد طاب النداء قم يا مهدينا بايعناك يا إمامي يا حسين أنت هادينا بايعناك يا إمامي في كربلاء يا حسين كان القوم في سبات ردحا طويلا كان القوم في سبات ردحا طويلا كان الدين في الحياة يحبو دليلا كنت أنت يا حسين صرت سبيلا كنت أنت يا حسين صرت سبيلا صار الموت في خطاك دربا طويلا بايعناك يا إمامي أنت ولينا في كربلاء يا حسين بايعناك يا إمامي في كربلاء يا حسين هاج القلب بالشجون يا ضيا دربي كيف أرداك المنون قد زاد كربي هاج القلب بالشجون يا ضيا دربي كيف أرداك المنون قد زاد كربي مهما طالت السنون يشهد ربي مهما طالت السنون يشهد ربي بالدماء نحيي ذكراك مهما حيينا بايعناك في كربلاء يا حسين بايعناك يا إمامي في كربلاء يا حسين يا لي صيحات الحوراء في أرض الطفوف يا لي صيحات الحوراء في أرض الطفوف تبكي أمها الزهراء والحشد ألوف تبكي أمها الزهراء والحشد ألوف جل بأخي العزاء في أقصى الحتوف جل بأخي العزاء في أقصى الحتوف يا لثارات الحسين يا مؤمنين بايعناك في كربلاء يا حسين يا لصيحات الحوراء في أرض الطفوف تبكي أمها الزهراء والحشد ألوف جل بأخي العزاء في أقصى الحتوف جل بأخي العزاء في أقصى الحتوف يا لثارات الحسين يا مؤمنين بايعناك أحسنت أحسنت صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Everyone in loud voices. وحسينا 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 والشمس وضحاها تسكن وجه الحسين والقمر إذا تلاها والقمر إذا تلاها يهوي دون اليدين يهوي دون اليدين وحسينا 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 أحسنت والشمس وضحاها تسكن وجه الحسين والقمر إذا تلاها والقمر إذا تلاها يهوي دون اليدين والليل إذا يغشاها صلت فيه جلوسا والنهار إذا جلاها والنهار إذا جلاها شالت فيه الرؤوس والسماء وما بناها تسكب دمع الجلال والأرض وما طحاها والأرض وما طحاها غطته بالرمال غطته بالرمال وحسينا 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 أنا من دون الحسين كسراب في سرابي أنا من دون الحسين كسراب في سرابي وأنا وجود إذا ما وأنا وجود إذا ما يقرع في الليل بابي يقرع في الليل بابي أنا من دون الحسين صحراء دون روحي أنا من دون الحسين صحراء دون روحي يا نسمة كربلاه يا نسمة كربلاه يا نسمة كربلاه بهوى العطشان فوحي بهوى العطشان فوحي وحسينا 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 أنا من دون الحسين لا قبس لا دليل أنا من دون الحسين لا قبس لا دليل أغدو في العشق موسى أغدو في العشق موسى لو كلمني الكفيل لو كلمني الكفيل أغدو في العشق موسى أغدو في العشق موسى لو كلمني الكفيل تجب صلاة الخسوف تجب صلاة الخسوف بكربلاء على من حضر بكربلاء على من حضر لأن بين الحرمين لأن بين الحرمين جمع الشمس والقمر جمع الشمس والقمر وحسينا 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 تجب صلاة الخسوف بكربلاء على من حضر لأن بين الحرمين جمع الشمس والقمر جمع الشمس والقمر أنا من دون أبي الفضل أنا من دون أبي الفضل لا يرضاني الإمام أنا من دون أبي الفضل الفاض لا يرضاني الإمام لولاه لا صلاة لولاه لا صلاة تنفعني أو صيام تنفعني أو صيام عباس والحسين عباس والحسين كتمام الركعتين أنا من دون أبي الفاض أي من دون الحسين أنا من دون أبي الفاض أي من دون الحسين وحسينان وحسينان أنا من دون أبي الفضل أي من دون الحسين أنا من دون أبي الفضل لا يرضاني الإمام لولاه لا صلاة تنفعني أو صيام يا شيالا بنا عشي يا شيالا بنا عشي أوصيك بكلمتين أوصيك بكلمتين سجل فوق ضريحي سجل فوق ضريحي أنا مجنون الحسين أنا مجنون الحسين أنا مجنون الحسين وحسينان. أحسنت. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.